Hello everyone, welcome back to the YumYum Report, bringing you bite-sized updates from Australian theme parks, as well as occasional updates from theme parks around the world. Today we visited Dreamworld, which just reopened after Cyclone Alfred, which hit southeast Queensland over the weekend, and we saw some cool new additions and changes around the park, particularly in Rivertown, which I'll get to soon. But before we start, I'd like to give a very special thank you to my channel members: Koala75, Lee Donald, SW Stevie 1, Randall, Maloney's Coasters, Kerry Jackin, and Medic Brick. Thank you so much. As I mentioned, Dreamworld just reopened today after Cyclone Alfred, and thankfully the park seems to be in mostly good condition without any serious damage, and all the animals are safe during the storm, which is great to hear. Work is still underway on Sky Voyager. It's unclear exactly what's happening, but I'm sure it's just some regular maintenance and TLC. However, I can't help spitballing ideas and getting excited over all the possibilities. My natural instinct is to drift towards creative thinking and coming up with ideas and thinking about potential additions or changes. My personal hopes would be either for a potential retheme of the facade, with a return to the classic colonial-style Dreamworld architecture, or even some simple theming additions. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the building itself. It's nice enough. I just don't think it quite fits in with the rest of the style, and it makes the branding a little bit inconsistent and sometimes confusing. It's a bit of an anomaly in the rest of the park style-wise, and sticks out like a sore thumb, to me at least. There's also nothing really on the exterior that indicates what the experience is thematically. They do have some posters kind of showing some different areas of Australia, but I feel like they could integrate some more themed elements on the outside, like maybe a new sign, perhaps with a plane or something. I did ask what everyone else thought on my social media and YouTube community, and there were some interesting thoughts. Dane's Theme Park Life says TLC. My gut tells me that's probably the case as well, Dane, which, hey, that's a great thing to see them taking care of the attractions so well, and I'm not complaining because I love to get a behind-the-scenes look, or in this case, not really behind the scenes, you can just see it happening, which is kind of cool. Claire Bear 806 says most likely TLC, but they could always surprise us and do something else. Yes, Dreamworld has been knocking it out of the park, pun intended, lately with all the surprises and changes, and it feels like we're a little bit spoiled for choice and maybe expect too much, but that just kind of goes to show how high they've set the bar that these kinds of speculations are even on the table. It's a compliment, if anything, that Dreamworld fans have such faith in the park's management and trajectory that we think that these things could even be possible. Carla NZ75 says, hopefully a retheme. Love the old style buildings as they have character. Yes, I definitely agree with you, Carla. I think that the old building styles have so much character, and I think they'll stand the test of time. I think it's important to think of longevity when you create a ride facade or any piece of architecture, particularly in a theme park, because you have to think about the future. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with the Sky Voyager building. I think it's an interesting design. I don't necessarily think it has a place in the park, and I certainly don't see it standing the test of time the same way that those classic architectural designs have held up so well. There's a reason that parks like Disneyland still continue to have those classic Main Street style buildings, and Dreamworld was modeled after Disneyland after all, and was definitely designed to be timeless. One James Joker says, looks like just TLC to me. Wouldn't mind them theming it into the same vibe of the swings next to it though. I think James is talking about the Dreamworld Flyers, and yes, I definitely agree that the theming for the Dreamworld Flyers looks really nice, and I could definitely see that kind of theming fitting in well with the Sky Voyager. Mushy P says, possibly outside theming. We went to Soaring at Tokyo. We thought Sky Voyager ride experience is better. Yeah, I'd love to see some additional theming put on the outside. Like I said, maybe they could add like a plane or something, but there's already other attractions at Dreamworld that feature planes, so they can only put planes on so many things before it becomes repetitive. I don't really know what else they could put there though, because that's kind of the theme for Sky Voyager, isn't it? You're flying over these different locations in Australia. Yeah, I don't know what else they could do. Coaster Blocks 3420 says, the facade is hideous and sticks out like dog's wadsits. If they want to change the style to one more in keeping with the streetscape whilst keeping the curves, I'd suggest they change the style to Art Deco. I could definitely see an Art Deco style building working. There's so many beautiful movie theaters around the world with the Art Deco style, and I could definitely imagine some nice minimalistic Art Deco style posters highlighting the different parts of Australia that you experience on Sky Voyager. I think that's a great idea, and I think I could see it fitting in with the rest of the park. Thank you to everyone for your thoughts. I'm sorry if I missed out anyone's comments. I kind of record these videos on an unusual schedule, so if I did miss anything, I apologize. But make sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'll post stories and other posts with questions for future YumYum reports. And I also post on YouTube community as well, so make sure you subscribe to check that out. Next, we made our way down to Rivertown, and I was kind of bracing myself, expecting some damage or maybe changes from the cyclone and stuff, but honestly everything is in really immaculate condition. The only things I did notice were that the waterfall on Murrissippi Motors was off, and one of the direction signs was down, but I think Dreamworld did that themselves rather than Alfred. There were a few exciting new additions to the area, such as this new sign. It's a small change, but I think it fits in really nicely. Again, I'd love to see some more additions to the boardwalk and pathway area, such as some potential shade and extra seating. This isn't a criticism at all, because the area is already lovely, but I just naturally drift to thinking about, oh, what if they had this, or what if they had that? I think it would be great if they maybe added a water fountain as well, maybe nearby Murrissippi Motors, possibly. I also could imagine some cool quick food options they could put in this area, such as roasted nuts, or popcorn, or a frozen banana dipped in chocolate, or like a jungle themed churro, because the churros they have at the front of the park are so nice. I'd love to see them in other areas of the park as well. The biggest addition I noticed this week was that they have finally added the pre-show videos to both Murrissippi Motors and Jungle Rush, which is awesome to see. The video for Murrissippi Motors stars Murray, and Jungle Rush stars Jane. I love that they've interweaved the characters throughout the area and have built this sense of story. I kind of wish it was a little bit more themed, but it is designed to be informative and to highlight the safety protocols, which I totally understand. Again, this isn't a criticism at all, but one thing I really enjoyed when I visited Tokyo Disney Sea was the safety video for the Indiana Jones ride, which was filmed like an old school run and gun style adventure sort of handycam type film, and I could definitely see something like this fitting in perfectly in Rivertown. But there's nothing wrong with the pre-show videos. I think they're very nice, and I love the characters, Jane and Murray. But super cool to see these changes being made. It's so exciting visiting Rivertown and catching up on all the updates and changes. Another thing I noticed today was that in the queue for Murrissippi Motors, there's a couple of Easter eggs on the crates, such as this one, which is a reference to Greg Yong, the CEO of Dreamworld. I absolutely love seeing stuff like this. I think it adds so much character to the area, and it makes the experience feel like exploring and adventuring. What's your favorite Easter egg in Rivertown? It looks like the second water feature on Jungle Rush is still yet to be turned on. I'm really excited to see how this looks when it's added. In the queue for Jungle Rush, it looks like they've added a new stone wall over the place where previously there was a gated off area marked saying "Do not enter." I mentioned previously, but Jaggs Journeys thought there could be a secret room on the way, but a lot of people don't think this will be happening. What do you think? Could there be a secret room, or is it just a speculation? Theme Park Ogre sent me this picture looking over the wall, and it looks like it's currently being used for some paint buckets, but my spider senses, or my YumYum senses, are tingling here. Why would the walls be themed and have glowing crystals if it was a behind the scenes area that no one would ever see? Could Jaggs Journey's secret room idea be true? I'm not sure about that, but my thoughts are that it could be a perfect spot for another animal display or an animatronic of some kind, like the snake in the other part of the queue. It would be a great spot to put a big snake or something. Maybe that's what they'll use the CO2 tank for that I noticed a few weeks ago, like a snake spitting at you, or maybe something else like mist or fog, or maybe another water feature. I love the fact that all of these are possibilities because Dreamworld has introduced such high quality theming, and they've set the bar so high. Jungle Rush was running one train with a longer cycle today. I got one ride on it, and it was as enjoyable as ever. I didn't notice any new changes this week to the ride experience itself, and I'm curious if they will use the CO2 tanks I noticed a few weeks ago for anything on the ride itself, or if it's going to be used in the queue line, perhaps. I personally feel like it would be awesome in the incline turntable room. Maybe to kind of mask some of the lack of theming on some of the pathways that you take on the coaster. Like when you go through some of the tunnels and things. It would be really cool to kind of go through the fog or go through the mist. Next we moved along the Murrissippi River towards the animal area. I'm curious if they're going to be adding a new train stop here next to Jane's Rivertown restaurant in the future. I think it would be a great spot because it would lead many guests right outside the restaurant that might not walk all the way there. What do you think? I personally think an extra train stop would be really cool and make the circuit feel even larger than it is. I'm also curious what will happen down here at the old barn area, which is mostly closed down except for the country fair event, where they use the area as a petting zoo. It's such a great spot down by the river, and I'd love to see a new addition here. If they ever do add something to the island, I think this would be a really cool spot to have a bridge, and it could make the park more interesting and non-linear to navigate, because you could choose different paths and things and cross different bridges. I think the island would be a great central access or hub area for this side of the park, where you could access Rivertown, you could access whatever future additions they add to this part of the park, and you could also access the side of the park down near the old Rocky Hollow log flume ride area. We also had a quick look at the animals, and it was great to get up close and personal with the kangaroos and koalas. They're so cute. And also to see the crocodiles, which seem to be getting friendlier with each other. Work is still underway on Goldie the Eagle's enclosure, and I'm really excited to see what happens down here, as well as whatever they do with the old vintage car site. I personally think this would be the perfect spot for an accommodation experience. We had a ride on the train, which is always nice. I can't wait for the full circuit to open up again. This is such a great experience that all the other parks here on the Gold Coast are missing out on. Sometimes walking around the parks can feel a little bit tiring, and I'm personally a big fan of having a transport option, which just increases the amount of ways that you can experience the park. I find that Movie World and SeaWorld, they both have a lot of dead ends, and you walk from one end of the park to the other, and then you have no option but to turn all the way back again and walk to the front, and I wish they had some kind of transport at those parks. SeaWorld used to have lots of transport. It had a monorail, it had a train, and it had the gondola as well, or chairlift or whatever you call it, which Dreamworld also used to have, which was actually one of my favorite attractions when I was a kid. Back on Main Street, we had a quick look at the King Claw construction site. It looks like work is underway, with workers doing stuff on the groundwork. The path was gated off, which means that they must be doing some pretty important stuff in the area. I'm so curious how this is going to affect Ocean Parade, especially given that King Claw will be the first impression to the area. Maybe they'll have some kind of new entrance sign or theming to welcome guests into the area. Work is still underway on the old Billabong shop. I can't really see what's going on in there, but as I've mentioned before, I personally think this would be the greatest spot for a cafe or a bakery of some kind. I feel like they should move the existing cafe down here onto Main Street, which has more of a central position in the park, I guess. And it's kind of the spot where parents are more likely to hang out, I guess, while their kids are off going on rides and attractions, and they might just want to chill out, have a coffee, and of course it's right next to the exit shop, so they might spend more money because they're closer to the merchandise, I guess. But all of this is speculation, of course. They could even possibly just be doing some regular maintenance on the shop, which is most likely what's happening. But I do look forward to seeing what happens. That brings me to the end of this YumYum report from Dreamworld. It's great to get back out here and see the changes and progress. And shout out to Dreamworld for opening again after a really difficult cyclone. I know that Cyclone Alfred affected a lot of people, and lots of people lost power or had damage to their properties. So I'm really glad to see that Dreamworld didn't have too many serious problems, and most importantly, the animals were all safe. It must be really hard to get things up and running again after an experience like that, so kudos to Dreamworld. As always, you guys are doing an awesome job, and I'm a huge fan. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. And you can also follow me on Instagram, where I post more frequent content. Before we finish, I'd like to give a very special shout out and thanks to my channel members once again: Koala75, Lee Donald, SW Stevie1, Randall, Maloney's Coasters, Kerry Jekin, and Medic Brick. Thank you so much everyone for your very kind and generous support, which helps me to continue growing the channel and to continue making high quality theme park content. If you would like to become a channel member, you're more than welcome to do so. This will give you access to new videos early, as well as receiving a special shout out and thanks at the end of my videos. And you'll also gain access to some special YumYum emojis on YouTube, and you will also have a little YumYum sticker which appears next to your username on YouTube as well. But if you're not in a position to support the channel financially, you're more than welcome to support the channel by leaving a like, a friendly comment, or subscribing for more. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.